Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming Blacksmith. Merry Maker Monday. Yes, we are making things on Monday. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. So today I have a few things to go over as far as housekeeping, but the first thing that we're gonna do, hey Shelly, is we are going to turn on the forge. I think that's probably the first thing we're gonna do. We are continuing to work on our trivet today, and we only have 4 more holes to punch. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we're able to finish punching those and start working on riveting this thing together. All right, let's start this guy up. There it goes. Once it's happy, I am gonna dump some water in the bucket. So that it doesn't freeze on us. We are on our last dregs of this can, and I want to make sure that we have, or it doesn't freeze up on us during our stream today. So we'll do that. All right. So like I said, today we are going to be continuing working on our trivet, which is this guy right here. Or I guess this is the design right here. We have all of our pieces created, but we need to put holes in them so that we can rivet everything together. We also have our rivet made. We're going to have to shrink the rivet just a little bit so it fits through the holes. But yeah, so we are going to go as far as we can with this project today, and what we don't get done today, we should be able to get on Wednesday. So we should be finishing our trivet Wednesday, like I just said. On Friday, we are going to be starting a brand new project, and that project is a pauldron, a piece of shoulder armor. And I let you guys decide what design we make for that pauldron, and that pauldron's design, the design that won, is the Mandalorian Din Djarin pauldron. So it is pretty much a oval shape that's like domed out. There is some edging to that, and so that's going to be a challenge to do. And then there is also a little bit of chasing and repose that we're going to do for the Mudhorn emblem on that shoulder design. Hey Bluesy, welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome everybody. So we will be starting that on Friday to coincide with my, so basically not a real usable thing. This time, not so much. Next time we'll probably do something a little bit more traditional for our next set of our piece of armor, which will probably be, I'll probably do no more than a 1 piece of armor per quarter. So maybe 4 this year, I'm not sure. It's going to be kind of like, we're going to intersperse a few pieces here and there. I do want to make a full set of armor, and it's going to be not matching armor or anything, but it's just a full set of armor, so each piece in a different design, and we'll spread those out throughout our streaming time together. So yeah, that will be started on Friday, which coincides with my affiliate anniversary. On Friday, we will also be giving away our Ray's Smithy t-shirt. So I've got that all nice and set up, and we'll give that away, and I'm excited. Perfectly usable if anyone is using a laser blaster, right? Except I don't have any Beskar, so we'll probably be using mild steel. It's a little bit softer, a little bit more pliable. We are going to be using a thicker piece than we have been using in the past, just to give me a little bit of extra girth, so that when we are doing the edges, and that like there is like a ridge that goes down the center of the curve. We've got enough material that we won't have to worry about it cracking. So that is the goal there. And after that, I'm planning on doing a raising hammer, which is going to be our second attempt at that raising hammer. So we are currently in ads. So I'm going to pause our what am I trying to say? Housekeeping until the ad is over. Let's find my my center punch. Oh, hammer, yeah, hammer. We've got this hammer, and then we're going to be making another hammer after the pauldron. Okay. I guess I'll probably wait until the ad is over to center punch that piece. It's not that long. Oh, goodness. Man, guys, today is going to be a challenge to get through. I was working on the axe and yesterday, and I don't know, I like twinged my back or something. So standing upright's a little bit painful, but we'll get through it. I get in my YouTube shorts constantly. This guy who dresses as a Viking and shouts, "Hammer!" Awesome. Those kind of people are some of the funnest people. I love reenactors. All right, let's center punch our first hole that we're going to make today. And then I will go over one more time our Friday stream. I just want to, ow, pinchy. I just want to start heating our metal. Okay. So there that goes. All right. So like I said, we will be doing my annual, or my affiliate anniversary on Friday. We're going to be giving away a shirt. I think I've decided that we're going to use Nightbot for that, or yeah. And so I'll give you guys a word, and you can type in the word, and then I'll try and do it at about the halfway mark of the stream. That way the most people will be available to enter, and then we will, if you'll enter by typing in the word, and then the bot will choose for me. I'll need you to send me a PM with your address and your shirt size. So when the winner. Corwin has a 5-stream streak. Awesome. Thank you so much for that support, Corwin. All right. So this should be a fun project, the pauldron. And I'm really looking forward to finishing our Trivet project as well. I'm hoping that we can finish it on Wednesday. We should be able to. I will probably have a smaller, like, one-off project that we can start, or if we finish the Trivet a little bit early, but I have this sneaking suspicion that the very last rivet on this Trivet is going to be ridiculously difficult to manage. So I'm giving myself an entire stream to manage to, like, finagle all of the pieces together and make sure that everything stays, and I can rejigger it so it looks really nice and it functions properly. I try not to streak. I got in trouble for doing it when I was younger. I can imagine. Ooh. That's pleasant. I came out here earlier today, and I was looking, and there's a whole puddle of water over around my quench bucket. And what I realized is that there is a slow leak in my quench bucket because I was working on the axe yesterday, and I just sort of dropped it in there, so I think I cracked the bottom of the bucket. So I gotta make sure that none of my tools are rusting down there. I'm also looking for the rivet. Here's the rivet. Oh no, yeah, it's a slow, it is a slow leak, so there's still plenty of water in there, but I do need to make sure that I grab one of the other buckets that's in the house and transfer the water. Drop. I had meant to, I went to Nightbot today to like make sure that I had the ability to make a, a drawing in Nightbot, and I forgot I was going to change a few things in there. You should get a tin bucket. I used to have a tin bucket, but then I don't even know what happened to it, but it started to delaminate the bottom, so it ended up leaking as well. But a tin bucket would be amazing. The other type of bucket that I really, really like, and they're really hard to find sometimes, is half of a cask for like wine or whiskey or alcohol, right? So you get the big old 55-gallon wooden casks, and you like cut them in half, and they're still watertight, so they make the perfect quench bucket. They're kind of big around, but they don't leak, and they don't burn through. So those are really nice buckets to have. They have them over at the Memphis Metals Museum, and that's where I first saw them. They are so convenient. I want one. Let's see. What else was I talking about? Oh, I need to make this rivet a little bit thinner, because if you take the hole and we line up the rivet to the hole, the rivet is a little bit too wide, so we're going to have to reduce the size of that. Or do as that guy that's saying, there's a hole in my bucket, dear Liza. Yeah, a wooden bucket. They work so well for our purposes here in the smithy. So, if ever I find one, there might be one in here at some point in the future. So yeah, I did actually, we are on our affiliate anniversary, so that would be, I think tomorrow is my actual 1-year affiliate anniversary. And so I added a new subscriber icon. So the new subscriber icon is a post device. So this guy right here, I made that and uploaded it yesterday, so you guys can take a look at that. Rivet a Trivet. Poet and I think I did know it when I posted that. We're riveting a trivet. Or rivet a trivet. Because, see, originally I was just going to type riveting a trivet, and then I looked at it and I was like, that doesn't rhyme. I need to make it rhyme. So then I was like, let's rivet a trivet, and that rhymes. So I think I did know it. We came across a full beer keg for $20 for our slack tub. After relieving the pressure, it took me 3 cutoff wheels to cut out the top. Ooh, that's a lot of cutoff wheels. A half-full beer keg, though, those should be pretty darn good, too. I mean, they're like a steel drum. I used to work at a grocery store, and every once in a while, we had like this special section called Regal Liquor, and they would sell kegs, and so every once in a while I'd see one come through. They are cool. I like them. But I mean, when you get them, or when you used to get them from my grocery store, you had to return them, and they would give you like a deposit. That and the keg tappers. So you don't really get to keep them, or at least you didn't when or at the store that I worked at. So I don't know. Maybe I'll find one someday. I would love to. There is every year at this place called Rural King, it's like a farm supply store that's local. They have half kegs, like wooden kegs, but they always have holes drilled in the bottom because they are for like planters. So you fill the bottom of it with like dirt, and then you plant all of your little spring flowers in it. But I can't use one that has a hole in the bottom of it. It was surprisingly hard stainless. I could not drill it. Well, I mean, I definitely couldn't drill it. I mean, I can't even drill this mild steel. We learned that on what was it? Yeah, Friday. You put hay plugs in there, do you? I wouldn't have imagined that hay would have kept the water in. Is it like hay and dirt? I thought the hay would be relatively permeable, but I don't know a lot about hay, so, you know. All right, how is our piece doing? It's starting to get a little bit orange, maybe a little bit longer, and then we'll pull it out and start punching our holes. Like I said, we have 4 left to do. We have the one that's in there, and then we have this leg that we need to punch, and then we need 2 on this side piece. And we should be able to cut all of these holes in today. Hopefully we'll be able to also work on thinning out the rivet. No, you buy one with the holes and then plug the holes with hay. Okay. Okay. Like I said, I thought hay would be a little bit more permeable and that the water would like come out. But, you know, maybe it's less permeable than I thought it was. So, like I said, this weekend I started working on the axe. I started handling it, but I got about halfway down the shaft, or I guess not halfway down the shaft, but the halfway down the hole, and it kind of got a little bit stuck. So I got kind of tired punching it down. I was using this ugly dead blow. So I got to spend a little bit more time hammering this down in here so that we've got an axe on a handle. It is still a little bit on the skinny side, like the section where the head is going to sit on the handle. So I am a little bit afraid that it would, if it was in heavy use, that the axe head would break off of the handle, but this is going to be a wall hanger. We're just going to toss it up on the wall over there, and it won't have a lot of use. So it should be fine. I just need to get use a little bit more strength and elbow grease and get that on there. Pretty exciting stuff. So yeah, I was grinding it so it was nice and shiny like that, and it gets hot when you start sanding or grinding it. So then I just tossed it in the quench bucket, and that's how I ended up cracking the bottom. The axe is looking good. I think it's looking pretty good. Like I said, I had a lot of trouble with the eye. Our punch that we made, or I guess the drift, was way too skinny, and so I expanded the hole a little bit so that it makes it a little bit easier to use with a standard size axe handle. But yeah, maybe don't hand it off to Paul Bunyan. Yes, right. But yeah, I think it looks pretty. I just think that we need a little bit more elbow grease to get that head onto the handle, and well, it'll probably only ever see one log and like do 1, maybe 2 like splits ever, because I want a nice pretty, you know, shot of a log split for my video. But other than that, I think it'll just sit and hang on the wall. Rabbit Scotsman, isn't there a trick to get the head down on there by holding it upside down? I saw a woodworker do that. Yeah, you can definitely do that. My handle is a little bit tight, so I have been just hammering on the head, but I do flip it occasionally, so you do a little bit of it right side up and a little bit on it upside down. And when you hammer the bottom of it, it does actually suck the head up into the eye. Hey, Dr. Optimal. I heard things cracked. What cracked? My quench bucket cracked. It's made out of a kitty litter box. It's like really thin plastic, and normally when I lose my kitty litter bucket, quench buckets, it's because I've melted through the bottom, but this time I threw the axe head in there and I think it cracked the bottom. Yeah, that is really cool. It also works a lot better if you cut your eyes in, or I guess drift your eyes in with a hourglass shape. So this particular hammer, I'm for sure this one has an hourglass shape. So let me kind of show you what I'm talking about. Where did I put my... Give me just 1 second. I'm looking for my... there it is. My chalk. So this hammer was handmade. And so I guarantee you that the eye... And this is a really over-exaggerated drawing, but I guarantee you that the eye is an hourglass shape like that, right? This makes it a little bit a tighter fit, and it also allows the ability for the head to suck up the wood of the handle inside of the handle. It also allows for a little bit of expansion, because as wood dries out and moisturizes again, it will expand and contract. And it makes it a lot easier to maintain your handle and have it last for a really long time. So yeah. Theoretically, that's how it's supposed to work. But you know, I'm not always the best at doing that sort of thing, so a lot of my eyes for my axes and my hammers are not hourglass shaped like that. It also keeps the die from flying off, I imagine. Yes, it does. It definitely does. Or the handle, yes. I think that's what I thought that's what you meant. It does help keep the handle on. Like I said, it's a tighter fit. All right, let's start working. Let's start punching in a hole. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is start recording on my close-up camera, and then we're going to change my camera view. Let's see, is that going to be better? I think that's going to be better. My last heat on my last hole from Friday, you can't even see it because I put the inset on top of it, and that was not fun. All right, so the very first heat of these holes takes a lot of time because we've got to kind of make sure that they're straight and in exactly the right position. So you can kind of see I've got a ghost going on there, a ghost of a hole started. So we are going to punch the hole all the way through in the next few heats. There's got to be something weird on the face of my anvil because it just smells. It smells like something burning. It is described as Newton's laws of motion. More practically, the first and third laws. The first one said that if an object does not want to move, the third tells you that every action causes an equal and opposite reaction. Yes. So the hammer or axe head, if you hold it like so, it doesn't want to move because it's static and it's a lot weightier than the wood. Who needs a straight hole? Just waller it until things fit, right? If you can see that when you hit the handle, the head doesn't want to move, and then the handle puts the face on the head, so it pushes up. Yeah. Exactly, Bluesy. Exactly. And the hourglass shape inside there helps that out a lot. It kind of gives us a little bit of a nice punctuation, a little hug for the handle. Just make square holes. Right? So yeah, like I said, I made our axe drift really too small, so I ended up having to like re-drill a whole bunch of holes and grind them and hand file them, and it was a big old deal. So it's taken me quite a bit of time to work on that and get it to function, and so that I could put the handle on the head. So we made that I think in like September, October, we started that axe, and I'm just now putting the handle on it. It's one of those things, right? You kind of procrastinate a little bit, and then you start it, and it's a lot harder than you thought it was going to be, so then you procrastinate a little bit more. Everything fits in a square hole. I think it depends, but a lot of stuff fits in the square hole. Like the little ball, the little kiddo ball that has all of the round and the square and the star holes. That one, you definitely can get everything in the square hole because all of the shapes are kind of oriented in a specific way, so that if you put them sideways, they'll all fit through the square hole. I think that's a little fishy. I think they did that deliberately, but So on Friday, I bruised the tip of my pinky because I was holding the punch in a really weird way, and I gotta make sure that I remember to move my pinky because I always end up knocking my pinky with the punch. All right, let's do another heat. Oops, that's the other side. And we've lost a lot of heat. So I'll probably put this guy back in the forge just to heat it up again. We haven't made much progress that heat, but dropping it is a good way to cool it off. I have a punch that has a handle connected. See, that's the smart way to do things, is get punches that have handles on it. And I do actually have a handle for punches. I bought a test tube holder, which works pretty darn well for holding punches for myself, but I don't remember what I did with it. I have the one that I tried to make myself, but it's really bad, and I can't find the one that I had or that I bought. So I'll find it eventually, but I wasn't really planning on doing these or punching these holes. I was planning on drilling them, and so I don't know. I didn't have time to look for it. Hey, Blue Red Metal, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. So lately I have been playing this video game called Elder Scrolls Online, and they have a new content that's coming out, and they have a stream on Wednesday. So half a second I decided that I thought about canceling stream, but I'm not going to do that. Handled punches and tongs made to hold them are the best. I often miss the punch and hit my hand if I hold it. I do too. I don't have the best hammer control in the whole world, but I practice and I try. But it is always nice to have a punch holder or handled punches. You can also like weld a handle onto these guys. It works pretty well. I don't know. Let's see. Is it in here? It's probably in this pile of random steel junk. But I don't know exactly where it is, so I don't really want to dig in there. The face of my anvil is a little bit on the cooler side. It's kind of sucking in the heat from all of these pieces. And this one in particular is pretty cold. I was just in my garden area. The rosemary bush is blooming, and there's a lot of bees buzzing around, going from flower to flower. Not bad for early January, right? I'm only in a sweatshirt today. It is almost 60 degrees Fahrenheit here in this area, southern central USA. Not bad for, for January. But I mean, we always have at least one day every month that's like 60, 70 degrees. So I don't know if that day is today or if we're going to have a few warmer days this month. But it's all right as long as it doesn't decide to be warm and then cold and then warm and then cold, because that affects my lungs a lot. It makes it very hard for me to breathe. All right, so we've got an ad that's going to start in about 3 minutes. So I'm going to see if I can't get another heat in before the ad starts. Oh, I put that in the wrong spot, didn't I? I've been putting it over here. And I think it's been working pretty well. There's got to be some weird, like, grease or something on the anvil face. I don't know what it is, though. So did you send me the snow? If you did, you can come and take it right back. I mean, I'm sorry. I can't really say I'll take your snow. I hate snow. I hate snow a lot. I do not mind. Yeah. Well, I just thought of a thing. Oh, time to break out the degreaser. Probably. Let's grab a paper towel and see if we can't get a little bit of it off. Whatever it is, we'll get it off. Yummy. Yummy, yummy. Oh, so the other day I told you guys that I got enough Christmas money to buy a new torch. Well, the torch came on Saturday, so I have the torch. It's almost set up. I don't have any oxygen, so I need to replace the oxygen, and then I'll have it all nice and set up. Yeah, alcohol spray, and then when it is wet, take some metal out of the fire and put it on there. Yeah, that would work pretty well. This 88-degree weather every day is rough. Well, is that because you're in the desert? Or I imagine it's colder at night for you, Lexi. Someone was making hot dogs on the anvil again. Something like that. Like, I really don't know why there was, like, weirdness on the anvil. I wasn't doing anything with it. Unless, you know, that weird smell, that's where it was coming from. I don't know. So, will you have oxyacetylene? I will have oxypropane. So my new, it's a jeweler's torch, not like an oxyacetylene rig. So the torch is about yay big, as opposed to like yay big for a proper oxyacetylene. I'll show it to you guys in a few weeks, I think. I'm definitely going to be using it for the Mudhorn decal on our piece of armor. Once the ad is done, I will pick up the steel and we'll do another heat. For half a second, I thought I had my apron on inside out, or I guess not inside out. It would be more like backwards. There isn't really an inside and an outside of my apron. I don't know. The things I talk about on stream, I have this tendency to do like stream of thought, and I'll just sit there and I will talk about whatever goes through my head. So sometimes when it's a little disjointed, that's probably what's happening. Not everything. I do have to censor myself a little bit, because I try to be like, you know, PG. Oh yeah, like the acetylene, but it will cut through just about anything you give it enough time. Yeah, so my torch is like a little jeweler's torch. It's more for like soldering and annealing as opposed to cutting and heating. So like I said, I need to exchange my oxygen because the one I bought for my oxyacetylene rig is a little bit too small for that acetylene rig. So I'm just going to transfer it over to the jeweler setup. I'm in the tropics, mango and banana farms all about. It's always in the 80s and 90s, and the only thing that changes is rain for 6 months and none for 6. Oh, okay, so you are actually in what I would consider the summer months right now, because you're in the lower, the lower hemisphere. Since I'm in the northern hemisphere, it's supposedly winter. So I don't know if it's actually winter, but All right, let's do another heat. But yeah, I'm really excited because my torch came, and it's not like a little piddly torch. It's a good torch. It's a really good torch. It is the same one that I had when I worked at Jared. Because, you get to this point where you're like, you know what a tool is going to be like, and you can't really excuse getting a cheapo, icky version of it as a trial. You kind of already know what it's going to be like, and you got to decide whether you want to replace it every 4 seconds or if you want to get a good one, spend that extra money. And this time I really had to, I had no excuse. I had the extra money to spend on the good one, and I know exactly how they work, so I had to get the good one. I am in heaven. We have 2 seasons, a wet warm one and a wetter cold one. I have hard water outside. Is that ice? Hard water. Or, because here in the United States, you got hard water that's like a very mineral rich water, and we consider that hard water. The coldest day of the last winter, it got down to 48 overnight, but it was still in the 80s by 9 a.m. I'm going to assume that is all Fahrenheit temperatures because That would be kind of incredibly hot for Celsius. Ice indeed, yes. It's like this thing I saw that said, "Welcome to Michigan, where the weather is made up and the seasons don't matter." See, we have that here too. I think that's just mostly the Midwestern United States. And I mean, I know that there are other places around the world that are exactly like this too, but it's like you'll have um, false starts to like spring and fall, where, you know, the false start to spring is like it's really nice, and then the next week you get like winter again and it just like snows buckets. And then the week after that, you know, you're back to warmer temperatures. And that happens in both the fall and the spring. Yeah, spend the extra money up front and get the good one. If you buy the cheaper ones, you wind up spending more and replacing them than more often when they quit working. That's exactly what my thought. I was gonna buy like a really cheapo torch just to have one so I could use it, because I wanted to save the money for consumables and materials and things like that. But I was talking to my partner and the butler, and they were just like, "Why not just spend the extra money? You know, you've got it. Just spend it. You want it to be good. You don't want to have to fight it." So many of my tools I end up fighting because, you know, they aren't the best version of whatever it is. And, you know, I bought them for a reason. If I did not buy them, the tools that I did buy, I wouldn't get to be out here at all in the first place. But I had the materials and I had the money, so I felt like I needed to buy the good one. The Dark Lord 4526, thank you so much for your follow just now. Thank you so much. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Welcome, welcome. How are we doing on heat? We got plenty of heat. All right. Let's clean up a little bit of the tip of this punch real fast. It started to kind of stick a little bit on that last heat, so I want to make sure that we keep everything nice and sharp, and then we'll do another one. Greetings from Mordor. Greetings. Greetings. Oops. Oh, come on. There you go. All right, we've got a good hole started in there. Let us take a look over here. We do have a ghosting, so we're going to heat this up, come at it from the back side through that ghost, and then we'll be able to push the plug out of that hole and then get started on our next one. It's a good warm-up. Hopefully they'll start getting a little bit faster. I use F if I'm talking primarily to Americans and Fahrenheit, and then Celsius if I'm talking to anyone else. I can easily go back and forth and convert them in my head. Made it a point to learn before I left the States. See, I feel like I could do that if I was in another country, right? Because you're in another country and you like listen to the news, or you know, you look up what temperature is, and it's always going to be in Celsius. Well, I can feel temperatures, and I know what temperature it would be in Fahrenheit, so I think it would be a little bit easier to convert things. I mean, I'm not precise enough not to have to do the math to get the conversion, but I've got a general idea. So, because I am just here in the United States lingering in the Fahrenheit, I just don't understand Celsius as well as I feel like would be, you know, convenient. That's why I have a sheet over there that has a couple of the different temperatures conversions already in there. I need to put the winter temperatures. I have a lot of the summer temperatures, like 83 degrees is like 28.3 degrees Celsius. So I have a list of like normal conversions, but the ones that I normally use, but not, I haven't made that for the winter temperatures yet. We'll get there. I'll put them there. And they're probably better. Hey, Sandwich, good evening. Welcome to the stream. So we are continuing to work on our trivet. We are currently working on the first of the four holes that we need to do to rivet the pieces that we made together. Once we're done with these holes, we are going to reduce the diameter of our rivet. And then I'm going to cut it apart so that we can start riveting things together. I have a whole stream planned on Wednesday for riveting it together. So I'm hoping that we get a chance to start riveting, but if we don't, I have a whole stream because I think that last rivet is going to take forever, because once you get the two sides on, getting it all the way around to that third side is going to be a pain in the butt, I think. I've only ever done this one other time, and it wasn't riveted sides together, but it was a four-sided square piece. So I did it twice. I made like a lamp. So I had a four-sided riveted together, like very similar to this design on the top and the bottom, and then I had little uprights, and it was a pain in the butt to get the last one riveted. I think I missed a few streams, or just one. I'm pretty sure you missed Friday's stream, but I don't know if you were here on Wednesday. I thought you were, though. I think you only missed one stream. I had originally intended on drilling these holes, but my drill bits didn't want to go through the pieces, and I'm not even sure why. I bought a brand new bit, and it just like skidded right off the surface. I don't know if the pieces were like really hard or what. It's just weird. All right, let's do another. Wednesday was New Year's Eve, right? Then I was not here. Yes, Wednesday was New Year's Eve. Whoops, that one. You were probably out partying or, celebrating. And we don't blame you for that. Oh, I said that we were going to flip this over, didn't I? I said that. Let's flip this over. All right, well, I wasted that heat. I'm sorry, guys. I got distracted. So we're going to flatten that out because it started bending a little bit, and then we're going to go back to that ghosting and start again after it gets hot. I would say shame on you, but I tend to miss streams. It's all right, if you guys have things that you got to do, or you get tired or whatever, real life always comes first. I would rather you take care of yourselves and then, staying up way too late or, whatever just to watch my stream. I appreciate your support, but, real life always comes first. Man, I'm being really slow about these holes. Hopefully I can get the next one good and done fast. A lot faster than this one. I feel like I'm warming up a little bit. We should get the rest of the holes done by the end of the stream, though. We got 5 done on Wednesday, and we didn't even start right away. The bucket of water seems to be working pretty well. We've already seen that working pretty well before, but you know, it's working pretty well today too, right? Okay, let's do another heat. It's a little on the cold side. Maybe I should have waited a little bit longer for it. All right, now we're going to turn this on its other side, make sure that it is okay. We are good. So we should be able to pull the plug in the next 2 heats, hopefully next heat, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to jinx myself. So it could be the next 2 heats. I have my appointment this morning for my biometrics for my visa application, fingerprint and retinal scan, so they can make sure I'm not a notorious criminal. Ooh, I hope you're not a notorious criminal, I'm sure you'll pass it, but good luck. Make a concrete bucket and you will not ever break it. I suppose that's probably true. So, we have this store here in the United States called Target, and I'm sure some of you or most of you have heard of Target. Anyway, in the very front of a Target store, they have these like giant concrete balls, and also sounds like a dare ×2, right? So some of the stores actually have like concrete potted plants that they put in front of their store, and it's really like it's designed so that if someone were to try and drive their car through the front doors, the concrete balls and planters will stop the car before it goes through the glass. Anyway, it has definitely happened, and I have seen a car run into those balls and the potted plants. And you know what? Those potted plants, like the concrete planters, did not break. I would have thought that they would, but they didn't. So yeah. A concrete bucket. Stronger than you might think. Hey, Bob. I'm pretty good. How are you? My back hurts a little bit because I was working on the X pretty hard, but other than that, I'm great. And we're managing it. Bucket 1, car 0, right? It totaled the car, but the bucket was fine. They were made with a mesh in it. Yes, definitely. But I don't feel like you could really reasonably expect the concrete to stay in one piece without some sort of like rebar or like chicken wire or something inside of it, some like wire. Reinforced concrete is hella strong. Yes. I'm all right so far. Just having tea. Ooh, tea. I have yet to get a hold of the English fog tea. I'll look for it. We went to the grocery store today, or I mean, not today. We went yesterday, and we didn't go to our normal grocery store this week. We went to the Aldi's instead of our normal grocery store, just to kind of see how the prices stacked up. London fog, yes. If you don't have any thyroid issues, run a bath as hot as you can handle the water and put some iodine in the water. It will pull excessive chemicals out of your body, and pain is a chemical. That is very true. I do tend to run the shower as hot as I possibly can, and it does relax my muscles quite a bit. So I will probably do that when I'm done streaming today. Water is the arch nemesis of concrete. And then Bluesy says it depends on the mixture. I have heard that, you know? Both sides. Unless it's Roman concrete, yes. Roman concrete is amazing. It's so sturdy. It's lasted 1,000 years. Some of them Roman roads are still in use today. At least so I've heard. You guys from Europe could, tell me different if that's not true. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot to. All right, we'll have to get this out on the next heat. I screwed up my cameras, and so therefore I wasn't able to get it in there. But I did give myself 2 heats and not just one, so, you know. All right, let's straighten that out, and next heat we'll pull that plug. Stop being a danger to yourself, Ray. Right? The Romans used volcanic ash in the concrete mix. It made it very strong and durable. I had heard that they had finally figured out what was in the concrete that made it so durable, using chemical testing and things. Well defined in use. Today there is a street where the old Roman street was, and maybe some parts are somewhere beneath it. It's not like the same street is there for 2,000 years. I mean, it would be a lot more pleasant to drive on a street that was actually paved with concrete or asphalt or whatever it is. It's a lot smoother. There are some streets that are still Roman roads in Tangerine. I don't think I've ever actually heard of that particular place. I'm excited for the plasticrete when it becomes cheaper to make it, will make building much cheaper and more durable. That's cool. Plastic in concrete. I mean, that would make it really strong. But you got to be a little bit careful of microplastics and stuff. But they were covered before. It's the oldest city in Belgium. Okay. So if they were covered and then they removed that so that you could see the Roman street. I see. Yes, they added chunks of dry lime to the mix before pouring. When it would crack, the lime would seal it. Yeah. I think I read an article about that in some engineering or science journal several years ago. I am Gen X. I am already full of microplastics, lead, and everything else. I feel like I'm also full of microplastics, as a millennial. I mean, I feel like I'm part of the height of that. There was that whole time period where they put microplastic beads in face wash and toothpaste and all kinds of stuff. Everything you could think of. All right. Let's get rid of the plug in this hole. Fingers crossed, right? Maybe it'll make a liar out of me, maybe it won't. Oh, it's out. But it's still stuck. Alright. How about we do this? There it went, except for the plug still decided to stay in there. All right, I guess I've been made a liar out of, so it's disconnected, but when I straighten it out by pushing the punch out, it kind of got stuck, so we'll get it out, I promise. But in the meantime, let us start another, whoops, that's the wrong guy. Start another hole. So we are going to center punch this guy right here. Alrighty. Just like so. And there's the punch mark right there. As I drop everything, guys. As I drop everything. I am Gen X, and I remember those days. As a boomer, I guess it was out. Just put it back. Yes, I did just put it back. How heavy is your anvil? My anvil is 127 pounds. I know that sounds really weird, but that's the mark that's on the foot of the anvil that indicates how heavy it is. So yeah, 127 pounds. It's probably a little bit lighter than that because the plate is missing. So maybe it's more like 115 pounds. But it weighs about as much as I do. That's how I remember it. Your anvil outweighs me. Well, that means you must be kind of small, Bluesy. I am also relatively small. I'm kind of taller, but I'm thin. Sometimes it's a blessing and sometimes it's a curse, being small. I feel like I'm blessed because I am tall and I don't have to, stand on my tippy toes or on a step stool to get into the highest cabinets. Is there any private fireworks on New Year's Eve in the U.S.? I think fireworks you do on 4th of July instead. We do fireworks on both the 4th of July and New Year's Eve, but we only have fireworks stands for people to buy fireworks for the 4th of July. In my area, we're really, really, we regulate what types of fireworks you can get really heavily. So a lot of the big ones that fly up into the air, like the rocket versions, those are illegal in my area. So you can get like the sparklers and the little things that like spin around on the ground. You can get like snakes, even though I hate snakes. You start the snake and then it's like all black and it kind of moves around and it's like black foam. It stains the sidewalk. It's awful. So, I don't know. But yeah, we do fireworks for both. Those are illegal here too. Doesn't mean... Ooh, I missed one. I got an ad break starting here soon, so yeah. Doesn't mean people do not get it from somewhere else. That's true. We have fireworks for sale for both the 4th of July and New Year's Eve in Texas. Yeah, I live near St. Louis, so usually we only have the stands for the 4th. We do have regulations like that, but we can get the big ones now. Oh, okay. I know that in the South, there are a lot less regulations. Also in Missouri, which is like not that far away from here. I could get the big fireworks if I wanted to. I would just have to drive them across the border. Bluesy is about 4'10". Wow. That's probably... I'm about 5'5", 5'6" with my boots. So maybe here. I remember holding bottle rockets in our hands and lighting and shooting them at each other. I remember doing that myself. I do. I only did it one time. But it wasn't pleasant. I got hit in the shin with one, I think. It's too cold here to go out at midnight New Year's Eve. I mean, people do it in New York City all the time, right? I feel like that's super cold. All right, we have started our ad break. So once this ad break is done, I will push the plug out of the previous hole and then we will start our new hole. Holes, holes, holes. Should be pretty good. Third time's the charm, right? Third time's the charm. It was out. I promise. It was out. I just accidentally, or like, I just kind of locked it in place when I pushed the punch out. I knew that it was going to take longer than I thought it was, but I was hoping that it wouldn't take that long. I had already given myself an extra heat. I thought that maybe, you know, maybe I would actually predict correctly for once. But I'm not very good at that. Huh. That's weird. Some weird, like, white stuff on the folded axe up on the project wall. I'll have to clean that off. It's probably because, like, several weeks ago, there was, like, a big foggy day, and the entire shop got covered in, like, a really thin layer of dew. So it probably was on there, and I didn't get anything on the project wall. All right, let's do this. Third time's the charm, right? Let's do this. There it went. See? We're good now. Now we're going to get the punch out. Woohoo! Oh, we've got a nice hole right there. All right. Into the holy quench bucket we go. And let's grab our next piece. This one's always a little bit slow. So this first heat, there we go. Need to move it over just a little bit. And that is exactly why we do this slow, so that if we miss where we want our hole, we can correct it. So we've got a lovely ghosting right there. Let me show you guys. It's right there. So that's where our hole's gonna end up. I'm gonna heat this guy back up, and then I'm gonna change the camera view. The Netherlands did legal private fireworks for the last time this year. Many in Germany would like to see it banned too. There are petitions, but I'm not sure if it will happen. Yeah, there's a lot of problems that can be caused by fireworks. You know? It scares animals, and those with PTSD have issues with it. So, I mean, there's totally reason for it to be banned, you know, or at least heavily regulated. Like who and when you can do fireworks. Okay, that should be good right there. If I can get out of this tangled mess that I've gotten myself into. I wrap myself around the cable that connects the close-up cam to the laptop. Always my favorite. We had them banned here, and then the state realized they were missing out on the tax money, so now they sell them all now, but they have an extra tax on them. We do not have restrictions on when you can light them, though. See, I feel like that should be the thing, right? There should be restrictions on when you can light them. People go crazy here in some areas. They shoot fireworks at first responders, ignite illegal heavy stuff. Ooh, that's not cool. Plus, if the area is dry, it could cause fires. Also, roof fires on houses if something lands on the roof. I mean, also, like, there are so many amateur pyrotechnics out there who end up blowing off their fingers with illegal fireworks. I mean, I don't know anyone personally, but I have heard stories. People are crazy. Crazy. All right. And we're off to my appointment. See you on the next one. See you, Lexi. Good luck. Get that visa. All right, let's see. Where's the best place to put the inset? Probably there. Got a nice hole started. Get a little bit hotter and we should be able to get through it pretty easily. I'm being a little bit timid about this. I gotta make sure that I'm hammering things harder, I think. Not too hard, just hard enough. My standard phrase, I already play the piano badly with 10 fingers, right? I missed one. All right, Bluesy, have a wonderful rest of your night. Bluesy says they need sleep. Thanks for joining us, guys. Thank you. And we'll see you next time. Gonna take a little bit of time to heat up this piece. I let it get a little bit cold. And I think I started it a little bit on the colder side. I feel like I need to wait a little bit longer. I get really impatient and I pull the piece out before it's ready. And then I regret it later. It takes extra time. I keep kind of hammering on the punch because it's kind of skinny, and so when it starts getting hot, it starts bending and smushing in there. So I'm trying to keep it nice and crisp so that our holes don't get messy. All right, there we go. We can do another heat now. All right, so we should have a nice ghosting on the back side. It's almost there. I think it's good enough. So we'll heat this up, then we'll come back around on the opposite side. Might hammer a couple of times on this side and then flip us. We'll see. I hate being called. I can imagine. I also hate being on the phone, especially if it's like a cold call or something for work, you know? A well-known term here is Poland Bolier. The big illegal firecrackers most people buy over in Poland or where they are mostly kind of illegal and smuggle them over. I really do not want to be anywhere near when those go off. Yeah, I mean, back in when I lived up north, there were a couple of people that I knew that their houses got singed because of firework usage. None of them burned down or anything, but some, siding and things. But yeah, fireworks can create a lot of problems. A lot of problems. All right, let's do another heat. They are pretty, though. These days, though, they have drone shows. I think those are better. They're not as loud. They don't cause as much problems. They don't damage things. Yeah, I think drone shows are a little bit better. All right, we've got a nice ghost going on that side now. So there's a ghost and there's a hole forming. So we should be able in a couple of heats to get that plug right out of there. This one worked a lot quicker than our previous hole. Maybe we're warmed up. There are reports again from trauma centers trying to salvage fingers and hands, right? The butler's brother works in construction and was telling us a couple years ago that a bunch of the members of his crew were missing fingers because they get really into fireworks and they end up like losing fingers. And I'm just like, why would you do that? Especially if, your coworkers had already lost appendages. I don't know. Korea has been doing some pretty cool drone shows recently. I saw, like, if any of you guys have children, K-pop Demon Hunters. It's like a kids Netflix show that's been very, very popular. I saw in Korea they had drone shows where they featured the little characters. It's like, several dozen or maybe even 100 drones, and they have lights on them, and the LEDs will change color, and they can like draw with them. It's pretty cool. Fingers are extremely useful. I try to keep them all, right? I need my fingers. It's bad enough burning my fingers, let alone losing them. That's why you got to be really careful when you are using rotary tools, that you don't have any loose clothing or gloves. You definitely want to keep your fingers. All right. Another heat. And another heat, and another heat, and another heat. Because all the heats. Oh, these are upside down from the way I wanted it. All right. And from here, we should be able to punch the rest of that hole out within the next, hopefully 2 heats, maybe 3. I'm going to predict 1. Or, yeah, I'm going to predict 1, but it's probably going to be close to 2. At the very least. One of these days, though, I'm going to get it right, right? I'm going to get faster at this. Keep reaching for my water, and I mean, I just keep drinking, you know. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast, right? It is a lot easier to just allow myself to take as many heats as I need and not rush things, because rushing things is how you get cracks and cold shuts, and yeah, not pleasant. I don't want to have to restart. Definitely don't want to restart. We've got lots going on, and I planned an entire stream for riveting these pieces together. So all I need to do today is finish that hole and then 2 more. So I need 4 holes. I can definitely, you know, I can take all the time I need. Russian things is how you get cracks. Russian things. Like the saying goes, one more last time, right? Restarting is fun though, extra practice. Well, you know, I like restarting things for extra practice after I have completed something. You know, I may make some errors, but I like to have something that's mostly complete. But I mean, there are times when I completely catastrophically fail something, you know, it's not unheard of, you know, and it's not the end of the world either. You just restart, try it again, you know, you learn things from failing. And that is one of the great things about, you know, failing. And I feel like you actually learn different things from failing, and sometimes more things from failing than from succeeding. So, and I promise that's not just me saying that, because I oftentimes fail. Is that a time loop? Nah, race Twitch stream. Start it again. Let's do another heat. Oh, I did that. Yeah, I did that in the right spot, I think. I will say I have been thinking seriously about doing another set of silverware. We did silverware, I think, last spring. And I kind of want a little bit of a skill marker. You know? to see how far we've come, how much more skill we've gained from all of this practice that we've done together. All right, one more heat to get that plug out, I think. It's almost out. You guys can kind of see that there is a little bit of a cracking there. I think we should be able to get it out in the next heat. But yeah, kind of how it started, how it's going. I've done about 30 wreath hangers, and I did one before Christmas and on a live and broke my first one. So the one was your very first one, the one you broke, or the one that you did on live? Your first one you did on live. Bending the one part that goes over the door, I imagine that could be very difficult. Like bending a 90-degree angle is oftentimes, especially on something that's thin enough that it will close in a door, is really challenging. You know, it's very easy to crack it. But yeah, it's all right. You know, you just try again. If at first you don't succeed. I've always bent them cold because they are real thin in that spot. I mean, it makes sense, but it also, I can see why, you know, it might have cracked on you, you know, if it was just a little bit too thin. I would definitely have it crack, but then I would totally have it crack because I would be bending it back and forth, trying to like rejigger it to make it like fit just so. That's the kind of blacksmith I am. All right. You know what? It didn't come out. It's there, but it ain't gonna come out. All right, fine. One more heat. Patience. Patience is a virtue. Oh, come on. Get all up in there. Like I said, we got 2 more holes left after this guy. We're going to take a look at this one as our next one. So let's make that hole, or I guess set that hole with the center punch. And we have our hole, or I guess our center punch mark. All right. Let's do our last heat for this one, and then we will move the camera again. Because I like to get nice variety of angles so you guys can see everything that's going on. Or I could drop it. That's a good way to make it take 4 heats instead of 2. And there it is. Right there. Oh, come on, get out of there. There it went. That's our next hole. So we're going to put this over there to cool. Or maybe we'll just, I think we're going to quench it. That way we can touch it while we're putting the center punch on it for our next one. Alright, let's change the camera angle again. Just so that we can be a little bit more thorough. And I think I want to go over this direction. Focus in specifically on popping the plug out of that hole. I can make sure though that I don't get my jackets in the shot. Okay. It's funny watching my tongs steam. All right, we got an ad that's going to be starting in about 2.5 minutes. But our steel is not quite hot enough, so we will definitely start our next hole once that ad is over. So I talked a little bit about what I did this weekend. Did you guys do anything fun this weekend? Like I said, I worked a little bit on the axe, trying to get the head onto the handle. Like I said, it took quite a bit of effort to get it halfway there. Because it's just a tiny little hole, so I had to hawk off a lot of the wood in order to get it inside of the hole. So it took me quite a bit of extra time. It's a lot tighter than I wanted it to be, but I think that it'll hold in there really nicely. We won't get any jiggling or anything like that. My only concern is that if I break it off, the little area that goes inside of the eye, because it is so thin, the pressure, that extra pressure, could definitely crack it. Velis1, thank you so much for that follow. I wasn't sure if you were Velo, or Vela, or Velis. Velius? I'm sorry, I probably butchered your name. Apologies. Have the new from Crans, Montana, Switzerland made it over there? How many times has something like that happened before? Do not people learn it eventually? Quality fembro content. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you like what we're doing here. Seemingly not. I'm not sure. I think that I am missing some context. Have the new from Crans, Montana, Switzerland made it over there? Crazy Frog into house. Thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community, both of you. Yeah, I think I'm missing some context. I probably have not heard of whatever that is. I'm sorry. I've been rather out of the loop recently. I have been deliberately avoiding news and that sort of thing lately. I am still somewhat informed, but I'm trying to maintain my mental health a bit. So we are currently on an ad break, and yeah. Oh, I have seen the fire in the restaurant. I did see that news, yeah. Oh, wow. That's crazy. I will comment on that once the ad is over, just to make sure everybody can hear me. It is so nice today. I cannot believe that it, well, I guess I can believe that it is. Hi, how are you? What exactly do you make? That's another thing I'll probably answer once that ad is over, just to make sure everybody can hear me. Because the ads are like, you know, I never know who's got ads and who doesn't. You know, we've got people who have Twitch Turbo and people who aren't getting the ads for whatever reason, and I never know who's who. So yeah, Sandwich, I have heard, or I did hear about that New Year's Eve fire. I did not realize that it was started by setting alcohol on fire. I did hear there were lots and lots of people injured and dead from that. It is definitely not cool. Some fountains setting insulation on fire and people dying. It's happened many times before. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people are like, it won't happen to me. I'm invincible, and they just do things anyway, you know. And there's consequences to be had. So hi, how are you? What exactly do you make? So today we are making a trivet. I have a drawing of today's project right here. So it's going to be a 3-sided trivet. We're currently putting the holes in each of the pieces so that we can rivet them together. So I've got these long legs here, or I guess these long sides, and then I've got a leg. And so we'll put all 3 of these together, and we will rivet them so that you can, the legs will kind of bend in and out, and you will, or a trivet is it's kind of like a pot holder. It is a barrier between the bottom of a pot and the top of the surface that you are placing that pot on. It wasn't alcohol burning, but they put fireworks on champagne bottle to serve them. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's still kind of boneheaded a bit, you know? You gotta do the fireworks outside, not inside. You would think they would put a rule in place so that or people don't do stupid stuff at places of business, right? I mean, you never know. People are crazy. All right. So we have 2 holes left, and then we will be able to rivet these together. We do have to reduce the diameter of our rivet material because the hole is a little bit too small to fit the rivet. So we'll do a little bit of that later on in the stream, I think. Yeah, indoor fireworks is bad. We should not do indoor fireworks. Okay, we've got plenty of heat on that piece of steel. So let's see what's going to be the best place for that inset. I think there is going to be great. It's going to be a little bit harder to see the initial hole, but hopefully we should be able to see the plug pop out of this relatively nicely. The first heat is always a little bit on the slow side because we're kind of finding where it's going to be. I've got a center punch mark and I got to make sure, make sure that it doesn't fly everywhere. But we got to make sure that the punch is exactly where we want it. All right. So you've got a little bit of a ghosting, and we are going to put this back in the forge to kind of keep going on it. It's starting to look like my punch is a little bit oblong. It's not so round anymore. That fireworks are one thing, but so many places have burned down because insulation was flammable. And there are rules for that. The owners will probably go to jail for a long time. I mean, people are constantly trying to save a buck, you know? And insulation is oftentimes very flammable, you know? I mean, sure, small explosive indoors, that sounds like a brilliant idea. What could go wrong? Hey, Chris. Welcome, welcome. Do you do this type of work as a hobby or a profession? So I am a professional metalworker. I have been metalworking for quite some time. I went to school for it. And I am a professional, like blacksmith and jeweler. I worked for Signet, which is a jewelry conglomerate, as a like repair person. So yeah, I'm pretty much a professional. When I'm not doing this, I'm editing the videos and the VODs that we make into videos for YouTube. Yeah. So yeah, it's fun. I like it. Not that it's an excuse, but flammable insulation sounds like a building code problem to begin with. The codes are very unambiguous in that regard. Yeah, I mean, there should be laws in place that make it a little bit harder. But it's also like they used to use asbestos for insulation, and that is not flammable. And it also causes a lot of lung issues and, you know, mesothelioma. And yeah, that's not good either. So you got to be a little bit careful on what you're using for insulation so that it's not flammable, but it's also not going to cause problems for demolishing buildings. I'm pretty sure this was not legal. I mean, that makes sense. You know, there are fiberglass insulations, and those shouldn't be. Yeah, asbestos is also illegal. It has been for decades. Yes, definitely. I mean, the fiberglass insulations that most people are using for buildings these days shouldn't be shouldn't be that flammable either. You know, so if the insulation was, maybe it was like grandfathered in, or you know, maybe they deliberately did it. I don't know. But yeah, not cool. Not cool. All right, let's do another heat. I feel like some days I'm a little bit more apt to call myself a professional blacksmith or a professional like metal worker than other days, you know? I think last Friday I said I'm not, but I am. This is what I do for a living. All right, more heat. We've got a good start. so we should be able to hammer pretty well into that. OMG, it's so warm out right now. It's only 19 below right now. 19 below? That's pretty cold. Or whether it's Fahrenheit or Celsius, that's pretty cold. But in this case, it was not the outer insulation, but just some of the sound insulation on the inside, on the ceiling of the room. I don't understand why. I mean, I do understand why you would have sound canceling like panels in your building, but yeah, why on the ceiling? That's very odd. I sell fine jewelry, so I know a lot about how jewelry is made, but the rest is over my head, too technical. I mean, yeah, I find it fun, you know, like resizing rings, reshanking them, casting them, putting stones in, tipping. I love doing all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. I also, like I said, I do a lot of blacksmithing. You will probably see me doing a little bit of silversmithing and a little bit of jewelry work at some points during our time together. I'm in the process of setting up a silversmithing and jewelry shop. I just bought myself a lovely torch and it came on Saturday. Pretty excited to use it. Those are freedom units. Oh, okay, so Fahrenheit. Still super cold. Way cold. The crazy thing is that when the ceiling was clearly on fire and the fire was spreading quickly, people filmed with their phones and kept partying instead of getting out of there. I feel like that happens, though, a lot these days, you know? You hear every once in a while about someone falling off of a cliff because they were, like, trying to take a selfie or things like that. I feel like phones sometimes, like, override instinct a little bit. Love to see you making a ring on a live stream. I would love to make a ring on live stream. I have done a few rings before. I did some Mokumagane rings, a wedding set at one point. I haven't actually planned on doing any any actual jewelry in the next couple of weeks, but I can add it to the list if people want to see some jewelry work. So they were dumb and had no survival instinct. I mean, yeah. I gotta say, fire is something that I really, really respect, you know? I mean, y'all may think that I'm a pyro, but I have a great respect for fire. You know? I have to. Alright. Oh, I put myself on the wrong side. That was fun. There's another one of those times where, like, I don't feel getting burned. Goodness gracious, what is happening? Flung it twice. All right, let's get some more hot or heat on that. Maybe it won't bounce as much. It's like the morons that get gored by a buffalo or something thinking they can pet them. Honestly, I do not know how our species survived this long. I mean, yeah, there are some dumb people, but there are some relatively smart people as well, you know? And they will procreate, and we will continue our species until such point as, you know, we destroy ourselves or go to another planet or, you know. what have you. I am out of water. Luckily, the rest of us learned from the Darman Award winners, right? All right, so we are out of water. We're at that time. So I will probably, I don't know, it's like 1:50 or 1 hour and 50 minutes that we've been streaming. It's not 1:50. It's not even 1:50 in my time. I'm waiting for that big space rock. I mean, I did hear about that space rock, but I don't think it's like planned to be directly hit us. But then again, you know, they really haven't said what the route is. And do we really think that they would tell us that if a giant meteor was going to crash? I don't know. Beer 30? I mean, it's Gatorade 30. Yep. All right. I'm going to wait just a little bit longer in hopes that maybe it won't bounce. But it's also like really little, and so, yeah. That's my excuse. It would just cause panic and chaos if they did tell us. I mean, yes. There was a movie about that. Can't even remember what it was or what it was called. But it was like these two people, and they had met each other after they announced that a meteor was going to crash into the earth like 8 days from then, and it was interesting. Armageddon. There's a 50% confidence or interval on daily weather. Space rock forecasts are sketchy at best. I can imagine. There's just so much stuff we don't know about space. Wait until that big space rock changes course. I mean, maybe. In the meantime, you know, I'll still be here. I'll still be forging. Because, I mean, what if the big rock doesn't crash down on us? Then I need to, you know, I need to work and live and... Alright, we've got a nice hole forming there. A couple more heats and we should be able to at least claim that we're going to start popping the slug out of there. And then we've got one more hole after this guy. One single more hole. It's this hole. So we've got one hole on this side. We got to punch the hole on that side. This is our last hole. Ooh, I'm getting to that point where I've been wearing headphones too often. So I wear headphones for playing video games, and then I also wear headphones in here, and so like they're really tight because they're both sets are sound canceling, and part of sound canceling is making sure that they're like, you know, up against your head. It's all squeezy. All right, I'm gonna grab a Gatorade real fast. I will be right back. Some of you guys know how quickly that usually occurs. Although I do have to avoid a camera today. Ooh, red. I actually get red today. Red is my favorite color Gatorade. If I have a favorite Gatorade, that is. I got really sick at one point after going to Mexico. And Gatorade was all I could consume for the next 48 hours, and it was not pleasant. Hopefully my food is here soon. Well, hopefully. It's always nice to get food. Dinner, lunch, breakfast. I like eating. I'm pretty skinny, so maybe you can't tell, but I really like eating. It's taken me a lot of time to get to that point, but I do. All right, let's see. Do we have a ghosting on the other side? We do. We have a ghosting on the other side. Let's... All right. More heat. So I was complaining to the butler the other day about when we were making these tongs and how I was using the drill press that's behind these doors, and I couldn't bring the close-up camera to the drill press. So all I had was just the wide of that, and so the butler's been kind of looking around to kind of figure out a solution to that problem. And so yesterday, they ordered a USB HDMI receiver and transmitter. So I'm not entirely sure how well that will work. We all know that the Bluetooth sound can be a little bit finicky. But it would be really nice to no longer be tethered by the cable or like the HDMI cable. So that should be here tomorrow. And I'll probably do a little bit of testing on it on an alternate Twitch account. And if it comes up working well, I will implement that at some point when I need to do work in the other shop. So I think it should be fun. Fun to see if it works. We really are interested mostly in it for when we do the on-the-road segments, when I'm at the blacksmithing conferences. That way we can actually use the good cameras for the picture instead of my phone camera. Because streaming from my phone, the camera, it's all right, but it's not quite as good as the camera that we have here at home. So I'm really looking forward to, I hope, fingers crossed, that it works well and we don't have any issues with it. So I'm super excited. Definitely going to be doing more field trips with you guys this year. We did 3 last year. The plan is to get to 6 this year. Double. And then next year, if everything goes well, I'll try to double it again. Oop. All right, let's heat it up. We've got it all the way pushing through on the opposite side, so it shouldn't take too many more heats. I'm not going to estimate a specific amount of heats this time because every time I do, I'm wrong. I'm so excited for warm weather. I'm over winter already. I feel like it hasn't even been winter all that long. I live I live in the St. Louis area within like an hour of downtown. And we didn't really get really cold weather until midway through December. And so, I mean, we're in our very first week of January. So it's like we've only really had winter for less than a month around here. And it keeps getting cold and warm and cold and warm. So I feel really lucky, but I'm also definitely not looking forward to the end of January and February because that's usually when we get our coldest months. I hate being cold. I am the kind of person that wants to crank up the thermostat to 77 degrees at all times. And yeah, it doesn't work so hot in the winter because, you know, it's the furnace has to work really hard to keep it up that high. So I usually am like, okay, fine, 74. I will compromise a little bit. I will live in a sweatshirt. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm excited because I think we should be able to get all 4 of our holes punched today. So Wednesday, we will be riveting this together and finessing it so that it looks really nice and it is the correct shape. I think, like I said, I think it's going to take me quite a while to work on that very last rivet. I think that it's going to be a little bit hard making all 3 of the objects come together on that last one. And then on Friday, once again, is my affiliate anniversary stream. We will be starting a new project. It is going to be the Mandalorian Din Djarin pauldron with the Mudhorn logo on the side. And we will also be giving away a Raise Smithy t-shirt. So I'm really looking forward to Friday's stream. It should be a lot of fun. All right, we've got an ad coming up in about 3 minutes, so I'm going to pull the steel and see if I can't beat the ad. Or maybe I can't even get it out of the forge in time. I don't know. Almost out. I think one more heat and it should come out because it's already at that point where we've got a completely disconnected piece. And our punch is starting to once again bend. Hey, Jack. And welcome back, Bob. So we've got to push the plug out of the second to the last hole, and then we've got one more hole left. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy, and we are going to center punch the last hole. The last hole. Alrighty. All this extra effort. Hopefully it's worth it. We were gonna drill these holes, and instead we're punching them. All right, got a nice center punch mark there. So now let's heat her up. Ooh, Alfredo. Alfredo sounds amazing. We just had spaghetti yesterday. Spaghetti is one of my favorite meals that the butler makes. We put sriracha and A1 steak sauce and teriyaki sauce in the meat, and it kind of really rubs into the meat and kind of gives it a nice tangy flavor with the tomato sauce. I don't do red sauce. I have a tomato allergy. Oh, see, that makes sense. You know, why you wouldn't, you know. I myself am lactose intolerant, and the butler can't eat chicken, can't process tryptophan, which is one of the chemicals that's in bird meat. So we have to be really specific about what we can and can't eat. I am fortunate enough to be able to use like lactate pills and stuff. So it works pretty well. My back is starting to get a little bit tired again. But we're almost done with the stream. We've got one more hole to punch after this one, and we should be right on time. Right on time. Breathing. Sometimes breathing is hard. I started the stream today and I was having a little bit of trouble breathing, and now after, you know, we've been doing the blacksmithing thing for, you know, a couple hours at this point, you know, I'm starting to be able to breathe freely again, and that is one of the things that I love about blacksmithing. All right. Let's get the plug out of our hole. Pull the plug. There it went. Hey, I was right this time. All right. Kind of trying to straighten everything out. Got a full hole. Now we're going to quench it. Ooh, I can definitely see that the quench bucket is starting to get a little bit low. Ray, if you can find it, start drinking birch extract once every few days in a tea. It will help you on all your non-life-threatening allergies. Ooh, that's cool. Flex tape to the rescue, right? That made me nervous. What was nerve-wracking? What am I trying to do? Oh, I am trying to move my camera. That's what I'm trying to do. I had a thought in my brain, and that thought kind of went on a holiday for a moment. All right. And we're going to move our camera view one last time. Let's make sure everything is all nice and lined up. We're good to go. Coolies. Yeah, I don't know exactly where the crack is in the bucket. I'm going to have to like empty it. So it's just as easy to grab another bucket from the basement where I have like a giant stack of cat litter buckets. My buddy in Manchester, UK, came to me to get his lungs sorted. I had him on the way to recovery in a few days. That would be nice. It would be very nice. Hey, Yankee, welcome to the stream. I got really sick in 2020, and I'm sure you can guess what I got sick with. But I've never been the same since. I've gotten so much better about being able to be out here and working and, you know, doing things. But for a really long time, I could barely get out of bed. All right, how are we doing? Good. All right, let's do another heat. And the best, yeah, that'll work. Right there for our end set. All right, let's see. Where did I put that? I put that right there, I think. Or maybe I put it on the floor. On the floor works too, right? Okay. Trying to get a nice ghosting. And I have yet to get a correct. There we go. I think that's it. That's it right there. I am holding my punch a little bit awkwardly. That's probably not a good thing. I will try to hold it a little bit better. We've got a ghosting in there. We should be able to start that hole in our next heat. Hey, Bubba. I'm a bit skeptical regarding any miracle cure, which allegedly helps against pretty much anything. I mean, there are some natural things that help a bit, but I'm definitely, you know, a fan of medical innovation and, you know, science. But I mean, there's plenty of science within some of the natural remedies, you know? All right, we've got one more hole to do. Then I'll probably raid off so I can take a load off. Get a little bit, you know, more comfy. And then tomorrow I've got a whole bunch of editing to do. I've got to finish up the last bits of Wednesday's video. And I also have to take a look at trying to get the axe into the handle. I've almost got it, but, you know, it's really, really stuck. So it's kind of on the I don't know. It's sticking. It doesn't want to go all the way in there. But we're getting there. We're getting there. And I think it's going to look really nice, you know, once we get it on there. Pretty. I think on our to-do list, we're going to put another axe and hammer drift on there to make sure that, you know, this doesn't happen to me again. I need to make sure that I am measuring my drifts and punches and like the things that I really need to be precise with. I have this tendency to fly by the seat of my pants and just being like, estimations are fine. But sometimes, you know, you really need to measure there's some stuff. So we're going to measure things and we're going to make new drifts. Because you know what? Eventually we will make another axe. Maybe not, this month, maybe not next, but we're going to make another axe eventually. All right, let's make another hole. Another hole. Is that right? Right there is right. Man, it's flying all over the place. I'm not doing so hot this time. All right, well, I'm going to get it hot again. That's why it's bouncing. Dropping things. We're drop forging. So I think for next stream, we are going to be reducing the diameter of our rivets, cutting these apart, and then riveting the piece together. We've got all of our holes cut except for that one, which we will have before I end up raiding off. It shouldn't take too much longer. Yeah. So then we'll have a trivet, and hopefully it'll work. Hopefully it will work. I do actually have a design. So in the design, we've got legs that kind of rotate on a pivot up inside of the trivet, and these have a tendency to get loose, so they might flip out that way. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna weld a little peg, a little stop, so that they will, or the legs will go inside, but they won't go out, if that makes sense. Because we only want the legs to fold inward. We don't want them to splay out. All right, let's do another heat. As I drop it on the ground. All right, we're good now. Got a nice hole we're gonna work through. I'm starting to bend my punch, so I need to fix that as well as heat this guy up. Hopefully I won't take nearly as long to get everything set up and ready for our next heat than this one. I really am liking this hammer. It was made by Mark Ling, and I won it from the Christ-Centered Ironworks giveaway this year. So it makes me really happy. It's got good action on it. I want to make another hammer. That's on my list of to-dos this year. I want to make a good crosspeen. I know we made that crosspeen a few months ago, but yeah, it is a nice hammer. But I want to make it, I want to do a better job of it, if that makes sense. So we're probably going to make it out of a hunk of that giant axle. So we will probably make, I'm planning on using up the entire axle, to be quite honest, this year. So we'll be making punches and hammers and maybe some drifts. I was a little concerned when you started using the punch with it, but it's holding up to it. Yeah, it is. Normally, I am very much into, specific hammers for specific or for tooling, but yeah, it's been working out really well. I haven't had any issues with dings or anything like that. I think it was just really finely polished, and the marks look worse than they are. I mean, it was really finely polished. I do have some marks, but like, if you take a look at my forging hammer, they kind of have those same marks in it, you know? So, it's not too bad. And none of it is deep enough that I couldn't just like run over it with the Scotch Brite and make it real nice and shiny, bright, pretty again. All right, let's do another heat. If I had damaged it, I would have just re-tempered and redressed it, It wouldn't have been a big issue. All right, do we have that ghosting on that opposite side? We're almost there. I think one more heat will have that ghosting, so we should be able to do both in one heat. So there's a couple of like blacker goobers on here, and there's no damage to it. It's just some goobers from the top of the anvil. When I am straightening out the punch, it's getting on the base of the hammer because it's on the face of the anvil. It obviously not their first hammer, and I'm not questioning the craftsmanship, right? Nah, it's a great hammer, I've never used a rounding hammer before, so I was kind of interested because so many people, like, rounding hammers are really contentious, a lot of people are like, rounding hammer is the only hammer that you need. And then there are the cons, the people who are against that, and they're like, oh, a rounding hammer is fine, but the right tool for the right project. And I like the rounding hammer, but I definitely think the right tool for the right project. See, my hammer was my first hammer, and it's kind of ugly as a result. It's kind of ugly. I also need to redress it because it's got surface rust on the surfaces, so, part of the reason why I'm not using it, the other part is it's a little bit on the fat side, But we'll do another one and we'll get better. Everyone will get better. Hammer is perfectly fine. It's just cold today. Yep. It's just cold today. Is that a comment of how the hammer head on the one that I made is too small for the handle? It is way small for that handle. But I bought it, and so, I bought the head, the handle, and that was the only size that they had at Rural King. And I can't get them at the hardware store for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. You know, you would think that you'd be able to get them at the hardware store. All right, we've got our lovely ghosting going. So let's come over here. And all right. We're missing it just a little bit, but I think it'll be all right. So we've got a little bit of a ghost. We'll have to move it over that way a little bit. But soon we should be done with our last hole. And then I'll get to sit down. Because, yeah, my back's a little bit tight. But it'll be all right. I'll take a shower and it'll be fine. Or I'll lay on the ground. Laying on the ground kind of straightens your back really nicely. I always sleep with a really firm mattress, you know, just to kind of make sure that my back is laying flat. I think I missed a follow from DCLMSMS with a whole bunch of numbers. Thank you so much for your follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. I hope that I didn't completely miss you. But yeah, thank you so much for your follows, everyone, today. I'm glad that you are enjoying the content. We should be finishing this project on Wednesday. And then starting a new one for Friday. Tummy is full of tea. Tummy full of tea is delicious. Now I don't feel like a rage monster. Well, that's good. Tea is very relaxing. It can also often be energizing, depending on the type of tea that you're drinking. Let's do another heat. Oh, I need to flip this over. There we go. That's better. Now we'll flip that over, and that looks very nice. So I think it'll take us maybe 2 more heats to finish this guy. Pull that plug. It's the tea with after the food that helps. Oh yeah. When I am hungry, like famished, I get really angry, and I can't. I have a lot of trouble controlling my, reactions when I'm super hungry. It's that, Snickers commercials where you get angry, and then you eat a Snickers, and then you feel a lot better. But I think it's better with, good, wholesome food than with a Snickers. Although I do like eating Snickers. Snickers are pretty good. Gotta get going. Hope you have a great evening. Bye, Corwin. Have fun. We'll see you later. I have hypoglycemia, so I get bad when my sugar drops. Yeah, that runs in our family. The old slogan was "Wins mal Weather Lager Dwart." Whatever it takes longer again. Don't get raided before dinner, right? I'll try not to. Although dinner is usually about 2 hours after stream, so I have enough time to kind of relax and come down from, being all social and stuff. Because, I mean, for you guys, maybe you see me as like an outgoing and extroverted kind of person, but really, I'm kind of really introverted. And, so it takes a little bit of effort, to put on the show. It's totally worth it, though. It is so worth it. All right. What part of the States are you in? I am in the St. Louis area. I am not in St. Louis proper. I'm in one of the suburbs on the Illinois side. So I'm within 1 hour of downtown. Yep. All right. Let's do another heat. But yeah, it's not too terribly unusual for me to see the arch here and there on clear days when I'm driving places. Ooh, we got to be real careful. We're starting to get a cold shunt. No, it's all right. It's all right. It's not cracking yet. But I got to be real careful. We're going to put this in just like so. We're going to heat that up. And hopefully we'll be able to pull the plug out of there. But yeah. It might take us one more heat after next heat. So we're going to snooze this ad just because, I don't like the last thing that you guys see is an ad, Oh, I'm super introverted. I crash hard after interacting for a few hours. See, I mean, I'm a little bit better than that. I as long as I prepare myself to go out and be social, I'm pretty good. But it does take effort, and I do get tired after a while. There was that nice ad where the guy responsible for the ice in the ice hockey arena gets stuck in the forming ice after looking at the picture. It's a pretty woman. He calls out a Snickers. It takes longer again. Get a Snickers, right? Carlos, thank you so much for that follow and that subscription. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. We love Prime subs here. Welcome. Says here you've been a blacksmith for 10 years. How many times have you accidentally grabbed a hot piece of iron with your bare hands in that time? I feel I do that far too often if I tried. I would definitely say that I could not tell you how many times because it's been so many times. I try very hard not to grab hot metal, but it happens all the time. I will say it's only happened on stream like 3 or 4 times that I remember. But yeah, I try very hard not to. I mean, I have definitely almost grabbed a piece of steel and thought better and, grabbed the tongs or, the welding gloves. But I mean, yesterday I grabbed the axe head after I had run it under the grinder, and it was hot and it burned me. Now, I don't know if this is good or bad, but I don't have much in the way of burning pain sensation in the tips of my fingers these days. I do have the stabby sensation, but it's kind of like I feel stabby and then nothing. So, you know, good, bad, probably bad. But it happens. It definitely happens. And I can't tell you how many times I've cut myself either, you know, blood everywhere. You know? It just, safety third. If safety is first, it's like, you know, you never get anything done. Is it bad? Nerve damage is always bad. So I can still feel like pressure. I can still feel stabby. I can still feel most other sensations. It's just mostly that burning sensation. So, you know, and I don't know that it's true nerve damage, but it's definitely, I've gotten used to the burn feel. I can still feel when I do it next time. You can smell the burning, so it's okay, right? Like I said, I do feel the stabby sensation of the initial like touching of the item. And so like I will automatically like let go of it. I'm not bad enough that I, you know, just touch and grab and hold or anything. But yeah. It happens. All right, let's do another heat. Ooh, we've got a hype train going. Thank you guys for that hype train. Those of you who have subscribed and followed, thank you guys so much. Also, thank you guys so much for just watching. I've had so much fun, and I hope you guys have too. Oh, that's pleasant. Come on. Be a nice little piece of steel. Yeah, it's going to take me an extra heat. I apologize for that. I don't know why I'm apologizing. I shouldn't apologize. It is what it is. It takes as long as it takes, guys. It takes as long as it takes. I'm going to get a little bit more heat. And I'm going to snooze this ad again. Just call in, or just in the last 4 years, I've got rid of the scar callus on my left thumb pad from hot molten metal. It was there since like 16. Yeah, I mean, some of those burn scars are pretty gnarly, you know? I think I have more stabbing scars than I have burning scars, though, because I'm pretty good about limiting my exposure to burns to like second. And I mean, that is awful, you know. You'd never want to burn yourself, but you know, third degree is far more likely to get or to leave scars. But I do have a scar in the webbing on this hand from stabbing myself by accident. And I have a couple other scars, like there's one here from using a grinder bit. Not cool. I don't know my head from my rear, but doesn't the piece cool down very fast? Yes, this piece is really small and thin, and so it is taking a lot of, or it's losing a lot of its heat really, really quickly. The bigger a piece of steel is, the more heat is going to be retained inside of it. So a large piece like, you know, the hammerhead, that's going to retain a lot more heat than something really small. These guys are teensy. You know, I started with a 1/2 inch round and we flattened it out. It's like, you know, it's less than an inch wide. It might be cool enough to crack, but it is still hot enough to burn you. Exactly. Exactly. All right, let's try and get this plug out of this piece of steel this time. Fingers crossed I don't screw it up this time. Here, let me. Or fling it across the shop. Woo! You know, I just said fling it across the shop, and obviously I gotta do it, right? Alright, we're gonna start like so. There it went. The plug is out. We have all our holes punched. Woohoo! Yay! 2 streams worth of extra effort because a drill bit would not go through. Victory! Yay! Super exciting. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Izabasi or Izabaz. Izabazal? I'm sorry, I've totally butchered that one. But thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream and welcome to the community. But yes, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Great way to finish a Monday. Thanks for the stream. Awesome. I'm glad you guys liked it. So we are gonna raid off. If you guys have any suggestions, please do let me know. But otherwise, I will find us a frame. All right, who do we got? Who is on? Looks like Miramac is on. Let's raid Miramac. Miramac is a potter. And they're a pretty cool person. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will be back on Wednesday